ancora un Occidente non pronto per la pace?
We're not ready for Donald Trump. What was interesting about Star Trek VI was that we knew exactly what we were talking about. What if the wall, which is to say the Berlin Wall, came down in outer space? Who am I if I have no enemy to define me? And we actually predicted the Soviet coup before it happened. We were in the cutting room when poor Mr. Gorbachev disappeared, and nobody knew if he was alive or dead. And all Paramount could think of was, this is incredible for the movie. But nobody seemed to be worried about poor Mr. Gorbachev, or whether he was alive or dead. But it was like good for the movie. But the coup in our film happened before it happened in Russia, because we just thought it was coming.
No, come è successo che ti sei resa conto di questo e soprattutto come è cambiato il pubblico, le community di Star Trek? Tu che incontri spesso alle convention e da 20 anni hai visto più generazioni, perché Star Trek abbraccia 4 generazioni di persone. Come hai visto, se ti sei resa conto di essere diventata piano piano questa icona e come il pubblico è cambiato, il pubblico di Star Trek?
I don't know that the audience so much changed. There was always I will say the initial appeal of Seven, her initial audience was much narrower. And it was a very predominantly male fan base in the beginning, until the character began to progress and people began to see beyond the silver catsuit. When she was out of that silver catsuit, which was just over the top and kind of ridiculous, and problematic in many, many, many ways that have nothing to do with just being a little bit over the top and ridiculous, but literally problematic because of the fabric with the lights and anyway, it was a whole thing, which made it even more of an issue than it should have been. But once you got into the character of the character, she was embraced by a wide variety of fans already on Voyager. That a lot of neurodivergent people really related to the character, which I really felt touched by because my son is on the autism spectrum. So that meant a lot to me. And I've had so many neurodivergent fans over the years who said that she really helped them because it was their journey as well, trying to discover social skills and discover how to interact. And there was a huge LGBTQ audience for Seven already, and then with Picard making her, a queer character as part of the canon, making her bisexual, that was just, that was a huge embrace of the community that I heard a lot of people appreciate. Always. And Jeri Taylor, who was one of the showrunners on Voyager when I was brought on initially, that was apparently, I didn't know this until much later, that was apparently her original idea for Seven. She wanted her to be bisexual then, because it's the perfect character to have done that with. She wasn't even human starting out. She was a Borg. She would have had no preconceived notions of sexuality or social norms or anything. But that was a very different time, and networks.
My wife will tell you I'm not a So, I know very little about leadership. I was a senior patrol leader in the Boy Scouts, and that's about it. But I feel I've learned a tremendous about leadership while playing this role, just by dint of trying to pay attention when people talked about leadership while I was playing this role. There are very few things that I knew about Pike going into my conversations with Akiva and Henry before we started. And one of those things was, I said, look, all I know is that when a member of the crew needs to come and talk to him about something, everything else on his desk is pushed aside. And he has 100% focus on that person because he's smart enough to understand that his greatest tool is his crew. And his superpower, if he has one, is to turn his crew into a larger mind. Because, you know, Pike's dirty little secret is that he's not sure that they knew what they were doing when they chose him to be a cat. So that's when that's when Akiva, out of the blue, said, "I'm picturing dinners at the captain's table." I was like, "What?" But that gave me an idea. I said, "Oh, wait, okay, what about he can't bring his horse, right?" And so if we play with the idea, every captain gets one thing. They get one request. Can't bring his horse. So what if he gets a kitchen? And that's when Akiva and Henry said, "We're getting off this phone call. We're calling Jonathan Lee, the designer, right now, and we're getting you a kitchen." And that's where that came. That's just the type of leadership that we have with Akiva and Henry. They are so confident in their craft that they often come to us and go, "Give us ideas. Best idea wins. Go."
% completely devoted to Starfleet, and she is a stickler for protocol, but she uses it to hide her secret, which is that she's really not allowed to be there, being genetically modified. And she's not shameful of being genetically modified or being an Illyrian. It's a very proud race, but she is very ashamed to be hiding the secret and to be there illegally, because a rule follower and stickler for protocol is the most important thing, which is something I share with that character. I feel like I'm a very professional person, so is Una. And so I think that she has become the most professional leader she could possibly be, in spite of the fact that she is so terrified of being found out. And moving forward into season 4, after Ad Astra per Aspera in the court-martial trial episode in season 2, now that she's been cleared and she is living authentically, as we should all be able to live, we get to move forward and see Una in a much freer space where she requests more of a leadership role, more time on planet to lead missions, and moving forward we get to see a much more action-packed Una.
Sorry. So the way we originally shot Strange New Worlds, we started February of 2021, and we really had 10 episodes where we got to make it in a vacuum, and we didn't have fan opinions yet. We didn't know how the world was going to respond to our show. And I think that those first few months where we didn't have outward opinion really helped me establish confidence in my Uhura. Luckily, when I was originally auditioning for the role, I did not know who I was auditioning for. They gave me an alias, which was a boon. I think if I had known that I was auditioning for the iconic role of Miura Uhura, I would have gotten in my own way. Something that I am really grateful for in the nature of our show is that it's a prequel. We all know Lieutenant Yoda Uhura. Whether you watch Star Trek or not, you know this character. She's been iconic for decades. And what our show gets to do is establish the beginnings. And something that was really exciting and attractive to me about this Uhura was that she is not the person who she becomes. She's very different. She's much more introspective and insecure and cerebral, and she's dealing with really serious imposter syndrome. I think it was really important to humanize Uhura, because when she was originated in the 60s, Black women did not have the space and opportunity to live fully and authentically. We were the help, or descendants of enslaved individuals, or we were so trapped in the past.
A me non sarebbe mai successo, ma lui gestisce un festival dove bisogna parlare di fantascienza a 360 gradi. Io volevo spiegare ai nostri ospiti che questa è la prima volta che questo festival, in questa versione, la Roma Fiction Fest, che per 10 anni ha vissuto, ha mai assegnato questo premio. È un premio che si chiama della Celebration Award. Chiaramente la celebrazione non è solo di Star Trek, è del vostro talento, your talent, e anche della, come dire, di tutto quello che Star Trek rappresenta.